Dear students, welcome you all to the Industrial Pharmacy 2 class. As you know, today is the first class of the week, and today lecture we will discuss equipment used for emulsion. Before going to discuss the various equipment used for formulation of pharmaceutical emulsions, which is the main objectives of today's lectures, in the previous lecture we have discussed a thorough discussion on the pharmaceutical emulsion, different bases of classification of pharmaceutical emulsions, including the classification of pharmaceutical emulsions on the basis of dispersed phase and several other bases of classifying the pharmaceutical emulsions, for example on the basis of therapeutic activity, and on the basis of various drug delivery system, and on the basis of dosage form as well we can classify pharmaceutical emulsion on varieties of classes. In the same lecture we have also discussed the formulations of pharmaceutical emulsions, including various types of the formulation excipients apart from the active pharmaceutical ingredients, which may include antioxidants, antimicrobials, buffering agents, and one of the prominent class of the excipient that is of prime importance in the pharmaceutical emulsion, that is emulsifying agents, and among the emulsifying agents surfactants are also one of the important excipient. The main objectives of today's lecture is to learn about the equipment used for pharmaceutical emulsion. Dear students, after the completion of today's lecture, you will be able to learn about the different types of equipment used in the pharmaceutical emulsion formulations, including some of the equipments that is homogenizers, mechanical stirrers, colloidal mills, and ultrasonifiers. Dear students, in today's lecture completion, after that you will be able to learn about these equipments which are widely utilized in the manufacturing of the pharmaceutical emulsions or in the process of emulsification. First of all, we will discuss the homogenizer. You can see in the figure that is unprocessed formulations ingredients, including the active pharmaceutical ingredients, as exception, that is unprocessed material, that is also termed as feed, that is introduced into a homogenizer having seeds and also comprising of impact ring, and at certain high pressures this feed is introduced in this type of the equipment which is termed as homogenizer, and at that particular pressure after processing a homogenized product that is produced and issued, and a homogenizer generally consists of a pump, and that is responsible for rising the pressure of the dispersion, that is in the range of 500 to 5000 psi, that is the unit of the pressure, psi per square inch. But it may be rising from that range as well. As you know that pharmaceutical emulsion is a biphasic dosage form. It consists of two immiscible liquids in which the one phase is dispersed toward the other in the form of small droplets or globules. Here in the homogenizer, the dispersion of two liquids that are immiscible liquids is achieved by forcing the mixture of these two immiscible liquids through a small inlet orifice that we are going to introduce the feed inside the small inlet orifice at back pressures and the range of the pressure that I have told you earlier, that is in the range of 500 to 5000 psi in general cases. The second piece of equipment that is mechanical stirrer. An emulsion may be stirred by means of various impellers mounted on shafts. It is a centralized shaft, and on that shaft the impellers are rotated. Recalling from the 7th semester lecture regarding the equipment used for the fluid, in which we discussed the two main parts of the equipments. One is container and the second one is impeller, and impeller is also termed as which is a mixing device, and we have further classified impellers into different classes, including the turbines, pedals, and one of the third class of the impeller we have also discussed in detail in the previous semester industrial pharmacy 1 course. And an emulsion may be stirred by means of various impellers. These are mixing devices which are mounted on shafts, which are placed either directly into the system to be emulsified. This is used for mixing, suspending, milling, disposing, disintegrating solids. Not only the mechanical stirrers are used for the emulsification process, but also used for the process of mixing, the process of suspending one material and another one, and the process of milling, the particle size reduction, the process of dispersing one phase into another phase, that is emulsification, and the process of disintegrating the solid material, and several other functions of the mechanical stirrers as well. that is one of the solution formation, and the rate of solution formation may be enhanced by stirring process. Remember that simple top entering propellers, that is one of the type of the impellers apart from the turbines and pedal. That is the propellers we have discussed in the 7th semester course in detail, the various types of propellers and the shapes of propellers and the speed of the propeller as well as. But remember that simple top entering propellers which are entering from the top side, that is the maxing device as a propeller, are sufficient for routine development work in the laboratory and as well as in the production. Laboratory, that is the small scale development of the formulation. It is of the part of the R&D, that is research and development, and production, that is the large scale production, the large scale production and the pharmaceutical industries. Simple top entering propeller mixers are adequate for the routine as well as for the production scale or large scale. An emulsion may be stirred by means of various impellers that is mounted on central shaft, which applies directly into the system that is to be emulsified, and simple top entering propellers mixture are adequate for liquid for routine development work and the laboratory production, but major types include the turbine type mixture. That is the major type of the mixers, that is turbine type. That is one of the mixing devices or impellers, that is turbine. That is the major types of the mixer, including in the mechanical stirrer, which is responsible for the mixing or emulsification. The third type of equipment which is used for the emulsification process, which is termed as colloidal mill or colloid mills. Remember that colloid mills operate on the principle of high shear, and which is normally generated between the rotor and the stator. You can see on the screen hopper, that is for the feed on process material, and one part that is rotor, and the second that is stator. The stator is in static condition, the rotor will be rotated, and that is high speed rotating fleet of the rotator the rotor, and the high shear is produced, which is generated between the rotor and the stator. The movement of the rotor between the stator of the colloid mill, and colloid mill consists of different parts including the hopper, rotor, stator, and as well as the outlet, and to the outlet the process material, emulsified material is collected, and colloid mill consists of a packed stator plate and a high speed rotating rotator plate. Material drawn or pumped through an adjustable gap that is sit between these two, that is the rotor and the stator, and after the material drawn or pumping through this gap between these two, that is the rotor and stator, is homogenized by the physical action and the centrifugal force. The fourth type of equipment which is used for the emulsification process, that is termed as ultrasonifier. You can see in the diagram that is the material to be emulsified, that is reduced at this inside the sunlight, and here you can see that is a nozzle will be there, and after passing through this nozzle, the vibrating blades and the materials are striking with that vibrating blade, and by striking with this at high pressure, causes the blade to vibrate, and that become vibrating blade, and that producing ultrasonic note. That is ultrasonic energy, ultrasonic waves are produced, which are responsible for the emulsification or the fragmentation into the droplets. Remember that these are transduced piezoelectric devices. Transduced devices are those devices which convert one form of energy into the another form of energy. Electrical energy is converted into the uh, ultrasonic energy. In this case, by producing the ultrasonic note after the vibration of the blades, because of the high pressure, and the pressure range in this case, that is 150 to 350 psi. The commercial piece of equipment that is based on the principle that is termed as Pullman liquid vessel. You can see the diagram, the figure, and the figure that is shown that I have planned. The generation of the ultrasonic note after the pressure which causing the vibration of the blade rapidly. Remember the pressure, that is 150 to 350 psi. You can consult the Lackman, Lieberman, the theory and practice of industrial pharmacy, third edition, pages 510 to 511. It is already uploaded on the portal. Remember that ultrasonifiers are also used for the formulation of the suspension. And these are very much expensive devices, and due to their expensive nature, these devices are limited because of the output is not good, and we cannot produce a large quantity of the formulations. Dear students, whatsoever the equipment for emulsification, that is mechanical equipment for emulsification, almost all methods used for breaking up the internal phase into droplets depend on the brute force and require some sort of agitation. When a liquid jet of one liquid is introduced under pressure into a second liquid, the initially cylindrical jet stream is broken up into droplets. The major factor and importance of on these and the main objective is to disperse one liquid into another one in the form of droplets. The factors that enter into the breakup of a liquid jet include the diameter of the nozzle, the speed with which the liquid is injected, the density and the viscosity of the injected liquid, and of course the interfacial tension between the two liquids. A similar breakup into droplets occurs when a liquid is allowed to flow into a second liquid that is agitated vigorously. Once the initial breakup into droplet has occurred, the droplet continues to be subject to additional forces due to turbulence, which cause deformation of the droplet and further break down into smaller droplets. Various types of equipment that we have discussed in detail earlier. These are available to affect droplet breakup and emulsification either in the laboratory or in the production scale. Regardless of the size and minor variations, such equipment can be divided into four broad categories. During the formulation of an emulsion, these four broad categories of pharmaceutical emulsification utilizing equipments that include mechanical stirrer, homogenizer, ultrasonifier, and colloidal mill. During the formulation of an emulsion, the mechanical requirements of preparation and particularly the problem associated with the scale up to production size equipment. The scale up here means that it is small scale, that is laboratory scale, that must be considered that which equipment will be used. It will depend upon the scale of production, either the small scale or on the production size scale equipment, and the size will be definitely, if we have to produce on small scale, then we have to select a small size equipment that is available in the small scale up technique, that having definitely small size as compared to the production size equipment. The most important factors involved in the preparation of an emulsion is the degree of shear and turbulence required to produce a given dispersion and liquid droplets. The amount of agitation required depends upon the total volume of liquid to be met, the viscosity of the system, and the interfacial tension at the oil-water interface. The latter two, that is the viscosity and interfacial tension, these two factors are determined by the emulsion type, the phase ratio, and the type of concentration of emulsifier. For this reason, no single method of dispersion can be used for all emulsions, and conversion from one method to another is a difficult task. Similarly, we have discussed these, that is mechanical stirrer, homogenizer, not only homogenizer is used for the emulsification, but also varying designs are useful for handling either liquid or paste, since the rate of throughput is little affected by viscosity. It must be remembered, however, the homogenization rises the temperature of the emulsion, and so subsequent cooling may be required. Similarly, ultrasonifier, colloidal mill, and the schematic diagram of the Pullman vessel principle. That is a spontaneous emulsification process, that is one of the commercially available piece of equipment, that is ultrasonifier or the principle of the Pullman vessel. Remember that ultrasonic node generation due to the high pressure is the main mechanism for the small droplet formation. However, in production aspect and routine production, it is customary to prepare emulsion by a batch process using catheters, agitators, and related equipment. However, it is possible to design combination of equipment that permit continuous manufacturing of emulsion. The selection of commercial equipment for the production of emulsion is based on the part of production capacity and power requirements for various types of apparatus. Propeller type agitator and turbine impellers require the least amount of energy and are capable of handling large quantity of the products. The power requirement for homogenizer are much higher than those for sample agitator. Nevertheless, their output is lower. The least efficient type of mixer is the colloidal mill, which is the highest power requirement and the slowest production rate of any commercially useful equipment. That's a little bit about the different types of the equipments used for the emulsification and production aspect. Not only these equipment, but apart from these equipment, certain other related equipment like kettles may be also used in order to prepare the emulsions on the routine basis. You can consult the pages 511 and 512 and 509 to 512 for this topic. In the Lekman and level with the theory and practice of industrial pharmacy,